Okay, yeah, you're welcome to turn on your cameras. I want to keep this as interactive as we can, so jump in the chat or on the video. And Wise, oh, Zoom says my internet is unstable. Hopefully it hangs together. Yeah, okay, so I will kick this off. My name is Wim Kirchhoff. I'm the founder of TopLeft, and I host and facilitate these currently. And I'm an MSP owner as well. Got 2 MSPs. So yeah, if you haven't already, please rename yourself on Zoom so we know who you're with. Just your name, @ or dash in your company. And feel free to pop on and say hello or just post in the chat where you're connecting from. And this is all about connecting and relating. So I will take us through the agenda and get rolling. So I always start with the instructions on the roundtable, because basically what can you ask and bring up there. Quick update on what's going on at TopLeft. And then we'll have a bit of discussion around what metric are you working on, what's your #1 metric, what's important in your team, in your role in your company. And I promise to go over some lean and agile terms. I'm going through the PMI training, so share some of that. There's a lot of jargon and these words are misused, so go through that. And then we get into our peer group discussions. Right. And so how this works is, if you haven't already, just introduce yourself. So when we get to this later, introduce yourself, share your wins, and from the last 90 days, how you did it, so we can all learn from that, whether it's a tool or a process or a people thing or dashboard, whatever it might be, something in your PSA. And then what's your #1 ask? Could be anything. So I'll dive into that here. Could be anything around Kanban or lean or agile. Could be leadership, something around service or project flow. If you're annoyed at your PSA or like, how do I do this? Or have you seen something? Mental health, it's big to me. Strategy, hiring, anything about TopLeft or product, of course. And I will dig up documentation, or we'll share boards. Some of the people in this call have some beautiful boards that they may be willing to share. And yes, a quick update on what's been going on recently. So by the way, can you guys all hear me okay? Shane, David, yep, all good, all right. So we rolled out the Nave integration, should have seen emails about that, which is beautiful, official Kanban enterprise charts. So this is not something we've invented. These are just with the Kanban methodology. There's certain types of graphs that go with it, histograms, flow charts, scatter plots, those sorts of things. So we've integrated with a third-party app that you can use, leverage Trello data, TopLeft data, that sort of thing. So if you want to get into that, burn down charts, cumulative flow, really see the bigger picture of what's going on over a period of time on service or projects or any sort of board or process you have. It's a great thing to check out. So Deanna will post a link to that in the chat, or you can find it on the blog. And what's coming up in the roadmap next? We've been a bit slow, I'll admit, with the last few months with been working on more like billing portal integration, that sort of thing. But now we're past all of this internal important work and get into client-facing things. So a big thing that's we're starting now is a client portal, so your clients can go in and see the same page you do as far as ordering of tickets, and then give you some options to customize that. So you can be on the same page, but they obviously wouldn't want them to do time entry, for example, because they're not a PSA user. So still defining exactly what that is. If you got ideas or requests on that, then shoot them our way. And then easy creating of records. We added the edit recently. I think it was in the fall. And so adding in the ability to create tickets, projects, activities, etc. So keeping your users within TopLeft as much as you can. And something even with ConnectWise, I know that it's creating a new ticket is like at least 30 seconds. You got to wait for that page to load, all the spinners to go around, fill out the fields. So we'll make that super quick and easy. So if you're in your huddle, you can make a ticket, add the note, done, back to your huddle. Time entry notes or standard notes or Autotask speed codes. Sales opportunities is something we never got around to when we did Autotask. So that's, we just got to get that done 2 years later. And then moving into rebuilding the front end so we can do more visualizations like Gantt charts, calendar, etc. Release notes, we have a website for that. You can sign up. You can obviously we get notifications in the app, but you can sign up for email announcements as well to keep an eye on what's going on, fixes, enhancements, changes, etc. Encouraging that. We've developed the teamwork transformer process, which if you've been a customer for a while, you may not have seen this. So it's just this one-page visual with the steps to get up to speed with a Kanban agile flow on the basics. That do-it-yourself of creating the board, educating your users, using it in your huddle, dialing in things. So there's a kind of like a 10-page document we've developed. And then we've got training options if you want to get there quicker. So that's the next slide here. We do have the free drop-in training every Tuesday and Wednesday. So you can just drop in. You don't even have to register. It's free, just drop in. Any sort of question about the product, your flow, dialing in your boards, you can share your screen, come with a problem, to working session. So that's with Matt. We have the completed ticket challenge, 3-week crash course, Zoom call every week, emails, videos. Concierge onboarding is also new. Basically, a lot of our new clients are going through that for 1 hour to get your first boards up and going, but any existing client could take advantage of it as well. And we have the new Agile MSP training, so getting to more of the Agile methods, which I'm touching on a bit today. Yes, so we've got the podcast with James from C-Level Operations in Australia. And we've done 5 episodes. We've got more planned. We haven't actually recorded for a month or 2, but we'll be getting back into that next week. All around scoping, out of scope, billing, how to set your project up to flow well, the client's happy, even if you have to bill them extra. And your techs are not going crazy. So, and then bigger news is we've launched our podcast. So that was announced in the newsletter, which we sent out this morning, is doing a podcast with my co-host is Steve, who's our VP People, Leadership, Agile, Building Teams, Improving Flow, Vision, Mission. A lot of the books I study, like you'll see on my back wall, we'll discuss those, bring in guests, that sort of thing. So got a whole backlog of ideas there to get into. So that's, you can they'll be published as video to YouTube, as you can see here, and then also to the regular podcast platforms. All right, so to open this up a little bit, just to get us talking, what's a metric that you're looking at this week or today that you maybe is off track, you need to get on track, or what really defines performance and the health of your company and your team, or perhaps your sanity? What's your number one metric? So David, I see you got some dashboards behind you there. What do you look at?
Well, let's see. Mostly, I just keep an eye on a couple of queues, like the incoming queues. We have our level 1, and which is like our help desk, and then our cybersecurity queue. I just actually made this dashboard last week because we're kind of behind some things. I guess just old tickets, aging tickets that just languish. They're like half done, and maybe there's some documentation that needs to be finished up or some follow-up. Like they're obviously not urgent or they wouldn't be sitting there, but I just want to get them closed out. So I guess kind of aging tickets is probably what I've been focusing on.
Yeah. Nice. So I guess how do you visualize? So that's on your, what are you using for your dashboard?
Well, that's Autotask. So Autotask is its own dashboard widgets. I do use TopLeft. I just don't put it behind me. Like I have it on my own screen, and I look at that too. But this is just Autotask and their own widgets. So I have some widgets by like, status and also engineer, and like how old per engineer tickets are. I'm kind of playing around with some of the metrics in there because age of ticket is not what I'm concerned with. It's like how long it's been sitting there. Like when was the last activity? So some of the metrics in Autotask are a little odd. I actually like to be honest, I was actually trying to emulate some of what I see in TopLeft because I see that on those dashboards. So I was trying to get those same metrics to show up on a dashboard, but I'm not actually sure what metrics you guys use for the TopLeft, where it says like it's 2 months, like a week or something since it was last touched. I haven't been able to find that correct metric for their dashboards, but that's kind of what I'm looking at, is like how long since last worked.
Yeah,
and on those.
Yeah, it's really important because once it's the idea is once it's, if it's flowing well, once it's started, then push, get her done. Don't let it sit there because that's extra waste. Every time you got to look at it or think about, oh, it's still not done. That's bad energy and a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Neglected work, we call that. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just clogs up the boards. Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. Steve posted a couple things. I don't know what all of the, what's RHEM, Steve? You able to pop on here?
Hey, sorry. RHEM is reactive hours per endpoint per month. So it's basically is how noisy are the clients. So it's not really help desk related. It's more business management related.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the old, was it half, what do you target? Like a half hour or something or less?
No, we've got ours down to below 0.3 and my goal is 0.25. So we've been making, 7 years ago, we were at an hour and we've been trending it down ever since.
Nice. Yeah, I remember that was a metric that True Methods really talked about getting that down.
Yeah, and that's pretty much where we got focused on it, was
Yeah.
through Gary Pika's program.
Yeah. Nice. And then the NOI, what is that?
Sorry, NOI is just net operating income,
Oh, okay.
and GM is gross margin. So
Yeah.
I look at, I'm the business owner, so I look at the top level numbers a lot. Shane, who was on this call earlier, is the one who's going to be looking at all the ticket and project related metrics. And so I don't know that we've figured out which ones we want to look at yet.
Shane's here. Yep. 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 Nice. Okay. And then what else? What are other things that people look at? Let me look at the list here. I guess, yeah, Chris, what do you look at for metrics?
Well, I agree with David. I'm looking at ticket age at the moment. That's been my focus. Just to get out any old tickets and move on.
Yep.
So Wim, I have a question.
Yep.
Can you give us some guidelines about, so I understand that TopLeft kind of spun off of an MSP. And the assumption I'm pursuing, operating on here is that y'all have gotten much better using your own tools and just using good methodologies like Agile to get more efficient at this and to get more work done in a more timely fashion. How many tickets is, appropriate in your world for a single technician to have open at any given time, in a well-run help desk situation?
They should, in progress, it should be like one or two in progress.
Okay.
Because you can.
Shane, did you hear that?
I did. But how many general are working on, not just in progress? Obviously, they can't.
They might have some more like
things.
a waiting column, waiting or a ready column. But on the deck in that in progress column should be like one or two. So we look at the total across the team, and that we kind of set an average of that based on like max 2 per tech. Because if it's hitting 4 or 5, you lose track of it, and people are fooling themselves. Yeah, working on it, but they actually haven't touched it for 8 hours. So it's
Or 8 days.
or longer, yeah. And it's waiting for like one more, like the proverbial 5 more minutes. That's just so yeah. We've been watching that closely with our coordinator, and if it's getting up there, then it's get a huddle and swarm on it and reassign the tickets, or what is the next step? Can we help move this forward?
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's this whole, a lot of these things we're talking about coming back to the age, neglected work. It's like, how do we get that work flowing through that pipe really good? So once it starts, it's out of your backlog and it's being worked, get it done. That it's very low work in progress. So that's the key premise of lean and agile, low work in progress. higher it goes. It's like inventory on a manufacturing shop floor. If you got stacks of stuff between all the stations, it's extra work to pick it up and move it. You get more forklifts and more storage required. It's all waste. Just transportation alone. Okay. Dan. Yeah, so okay, David and Steve are looking forward to Autotask opportunities. Okay, great to hear. Yeah, not much. 3 weeks. Yeah, it'll be more than that, but I think it sounds like less than 3 months because I had it at the top. Let me go back to that list. Yeah, it sounds like that should be within 3 months. So. Dan, okay, anything else anybody had to share on metrics? Okay, and then, yes, I've been, last month I shared, I'm working on the PMI ACP certification. I suggest looking at it. So I shared a bit of what's in the content and the requirements. So I'm going through that. I bought the exam, we'll be booking that in the coming weeks. Get that done. It is more focused on software development, but a lot of the principles apply in the IT world as well. So the bigger context is, this is the universe of systems thinking. How do we look at everything as a system? The computer is a system, but our business is a system, all the people, the processes. Within that systems thinking, you have lean. And then as the visual shows, you got agile, which is the whole, that's mostly software development things. Yes, people use agile. There's agile marketing and such, but mostly it's software development. Kanban is used in lean. You'll see it used in manufacturing, different places, in grocery things, supply chain, but used in Scrum, used in extreme programming, that's XP, etc. So it's one tool. It's in the training. I'm doing a Udemy course for it, and the Kanban was actually, out of all the agile content, it's like 5% of the time. So just a small part of that bigger world. That's what I'm encouraging us to explore is, what can we learn from Agile, the Agile world, which is mostly software development, and from Lean, which is more manufacturing. So Lean started probably like about 100 years ago. If you Google it, there'll be some mention of it started in like the 1500s, even in Venice, but I don't know what that was. But it's about how do you reduce delays, getting your tickets moving, and removing waste. And that drives up quality and lower cost. It's not really about less people, it's just how to be more efficient, higher quality, and get it out quicker. So that developed a lot of it in Japan and such. Toyota, you'll see that name a lot. You get Womack, Jim Womack, lean thinking, and it's still a huge thing today in lean. So that's in the word lean is in the last few decades, that this continuous improvement has been around for a long time. And Agile is taking that lean and applying it to software development specifically. So you seen that, and now other people are taking from lean and taking it out of software development to other areas. So Scrum and XP are two things I mentioned there. Continuous integration, even as you're doing a project, is how do we improve our process? So part of doing the work is improving the work, or how we do the work. So think about that in our MSP. It's not just rinse and repeat the same way of help desk, of projects, setting up workstations. How do we improve that as we go? Our teamwork, every meeting should keep getting a little bit better, that 1% or 0.5%. So this, from Steve, what you mentioned there is with the reactive tickets that come in, as we're doing this ticket, helping this user, how do we improve our process, cross-training, automation, whatever it might be, so we can drive down that time. So some of the agile thinking, Kanban. This is all physical stuff, like real cards, pen and paper, Sharpie and postcard kind of thing, to send a message of, I'm ready for more work. Here's what the next job is. Rather than complicated ERP, MRP, complex databases, it's all very manual, but conversations and communicating in a very simple way. So obviously with the Kanban boards that we have, it's like sticky notes on the whiteboard. I showed this one because with a to-do, there's a circle 2, and ongoing has circled 3, which is the work in progress limit. So as we reduce, by reducing, or if we allow that work in progress to be as much as we want and it's overflowing, it's really hard to prioritize what is most important, what should be done right now. And people grab and they pull and they start more work. By reducing that limit, people are forced to get it done before they get onto the next one. So focus on finishing rather than starting. So that comes up. So Scrum does that as well. You may have heard of Scrum and software development. The main difference, there's a lot to it, like this Agile, the PMI training it's very Scrum heavy. But the main difference from Kanban is time box of work. You're saying, we're going to grab this batch of work and do this over the next 2 weeks. And then we're going to review, see how we did, and then reprioritize and make another batch of 2 weeks. Obviously, that doesn't work with help desk. You can't tell your user who's doing payroll and the deadline is tomorrow. Well, you got to wait 10 days to get your printer fixed. Not going to work. But projects could certainly, we have MSP clients that are using TopLeft in kind of a Scrum-ish way to manage the project flow. So something to consider is time boxing it that way. You could set up your columns that way.
Hey, Wim, I have a question.
Yep.
So going back 2 slides to the limits at the top of the physical Kanban,
Yep.
does the TopLeft product allow us to enforce that?
It's visualized, it's going to go red, but right now it's not enforced.
Okay.
Not in the product, but also obviously we can't control what's happening in your PSA. People could still be changing the status and forcing work in that column. But as far as what we can control with the new UI stuff we're doing, we think it'd be pretty easy to do that. So if you're going to drag a column to your in progress and you're ready at your limit, that it would at least warn you and say, hey, you're at your limit. What's going on, right? Log something.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be good if it would alert. You know, in our process, we like to have a quality control step that alerts the manager. And you know, if somebody breaks the process, it would be good if there was an alert to the manager, so somebody knew something needed to be addressed. Yeah,
with the WebSocket stuff we put in, I think we could get into that set rules of somebody's going over the work in progress. They added this ticket. Take a look and be real.
But for now, it turns red. So if we have the Kanban up on a TV screen, you know, we could glance up and see if someone's got too much work in progress pretty quickly.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Trying to think if you can make everything. No, you can't make everything in the column go red, but it would show in the top errors and warnings and the total there. So we can come back to that later in the roundtable, and maybe we can look at some of the settings if you like.
Yeah, I was going to say we could also do widgets in Autotask that could tell us when too many tickets were in progress by task. So that I think that's something we could do now, that we could throw up on a board that would make it easier for us to manage that. First we got to implement this methodology, which we haven't done yet, but we're working on it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. No. Yeah. Thanks for jumping in there. Appreciate the dialogue. And if anybody wants to jump into the question, go for it. I can't watch the chat as closely as I can, or when I look at my notes and talking away here. So obviously then there's mix and match. So there's lean software development. You got Scrum Ban, you got Lean Ban, there's Lean Agile. These are other kind of methods that people are just taking the best of multiple methods and making their own. Yeah. So these are the 3 Japanese words, muda, mura, and muri, which is looking at the waste, unevenness, and overburden. So the example is, and I think this applies to our world as well, is example with trucks delivering goods. First one, not good. The truck's got too much on it. It's got 6 tons and it's harder to load, takes longer to load. Not good on the truck, not good on the wheels. Driver, you've got to drive slower. Overburden, not good. That's waste, because you get more wear and tear. With the next example, the first truck's got 2 tons on it, so it's underloaded, and the next one's got 4 tons on it, so it's overloaded. When it gets to the receiving loading bay, that's not easy for the people. They're like, we were expecting 3, not 2, or where are we going to put this? We needed more. Like we actually needed, our order for today was 3 tons, not 2. And then the next day they get the 4, and they're like, where do we put this? So that we don't want to overburden. We want a smooth flow. So we can apply that in our world as well, as a smooth flow of tickets. Not that one person's got 50 and one person's got 2, or so one guy's got to do 10 in a day, another person 1. Like, how do we balance these things out so it's a good flow? And then Muda is waste. And so here they're using 3 trucks when they could have done it in 2. And the final example is 3 tons on each truck. Perfect capacity. Everyone knows what to expect. Everything is the same. So that's why we want to look at our flows, is how do we get these things moving? If a technician moving between a help desk, a 5-minute password reset, and an Active Directory migration, like a project work, that's really hard. Different set of skills and schedules and estimates and work breakdown and such. So looking at what people are doing, so there's good flow. Again, we have such a variety of work. I know I've seen that as a challenge in our teams, is it's just wide variety. So as we grow the team, that helps because people can focus on different things. So those are some of the words that may come up as you start to learn about lean and such. Push and pull is a big thing. So we get that into the webinars you may have sat on with us, or the training. Is old way of manufacturing is make a lot of product, and it sits in a warehouse. But we're guessing what the market needs. Just a ton of waste. You're guessing, sits there, end up throwing some of it out because it gets old. With pull, we make it when we need it. So it's customer says, I want more some good, and then send a message to create it quickly. I mean, if there's if the factory is not busy making tons of stuff for inventory, they could actually push it through really quick. If they've got small lots, small batches, low inventory, no waste, it flows through really quickly and get it quick. So you save a lot of time and money that way. So, and that's what actually the book Phoenix Project gets into. There's the goal, theory of constraints, just-in-time delivery. Manufacturing's been doing this for a long time, and IT is just starting to figure that out. So that's push and pull. So I've kind of translated some of these manufacturing terms here to IT. So push is lots of scheduling, paint the technician's calendar green for the next couple of days. Micromanagement, like nagging, are you done yet? Poor communication, big backlogs, lots of tickets everywhere, the still tickets, the aging tickets, the neglected ones. They just stack everyone up with work that it feels good and successful that everyone's got 20 tickets in their backlog or more. Big tickets that are taking days or weeks to finish, multitasking, interruptions, neglected work, command and control. That's kind of characteristics of push. With pull, we're doing one thing at a time. Consistent, predictable flow. Keep those trucks going with their 3 tons, not 1 ton the one time, 5 tons the other time. Eliminating waste, which there's like multiple types of waste. Touching it too much, making it too fancy, bells and whistles, those sorts of things. Too much documentation can be waste. So having small backlogs, quick turnaround, visual control, like the dashboards and the metrics we're talking about. Finish before starting, instead of starting before you finish. Respect for people. That's a big lean sort of tenet, is respecting the people doing the work. So in the manufacturing, it would be the shop floor workers. In our environment, it's the techs and engineers, respecting that they know how to improve the process and have ideas, and still being flexible. So I'm kind of applying this like I'm doing triathlon training, and getting my swim time up is realizing it's about eliminating extra movement, eliminating waste, eliminating the drag. And what I thought was good, when I actually talked to my coach, I'm like, wow, my intuition is wrong. So it's rebuilding that, because don't realize just these little things with your hands can have a huge impact. Yes, so that's our sense of what's good flow can be wrong. So we got to reprogram how we look at these things, the mindset, and it doesn't happen overnight. So these are 3 books I recommend. There's the Phoenix Project. I got it here. Grab them off my bookshelf. The Orzen book is, I haven't actually talked about that much. It's been around for a bit. I don't see a date. I've got it as well. Bell and Orzen, Lean IT. More of a textbook, I would say, not a novel like the Phoenix. And then there's a hand guide, which is very accessible, easy to understand. It's kind of meant to be, hey, it's a roadmap to actually execute and implement. So a lot of it is about culture, respect, what are managers doing versus technicians. We need both in the leadership. So I can dig into those. So oh yeah, that was that. So yeah, I think questions to leave with you with is, what has to happen so that nobody in your team is overburdened? What do you have to do to minimize the number of open tickets to started tickets? We touched on that already. Is there more waste you can reduce? And how do you get your people to see the waste and eliminate it themselves and bring it up? How do you set up your team to complete a ticket in one go instead of touching it 5-10 times over a number of days or weeks, just one and done? And for your client to have a good experience, like responsive, moving quickly, good SLAs, and getting your team working together. I probably went over the 5 minutes I promised there. So happy to discuss more of that. So yeah, back to the wisdom circle. We'll go around. I got my list of people here. Is it alphabetic? I'll go top to bottom. And if I miss anybody, then just jump in. So start, role, company, how long you've been using TopLeft, I guess. What's your team like? And a bit of context, and then share your wins and a question. And then we'll just go around that way. So I will leave it there. Chris, you're at the top. So go ahead.
Well, thank you. I'm Chris. I'm with Sitel Systems. We're in Washington State. Been with the company just about a year, and they've been using TopLeft since I came on board. So, Wim, I think actually you know much longer they've been using TopLeft than I do.
Well, we got so many clients I lose track. So
Yeah.
I apologize if I ask people. If I treat you like a stranger and we've talked already, I apologize because I just can't remember all the stories and companies.
So you just mentioned that, not having too many tickets is a good thing. But, in our business, work kind of comes in waves. So we may have a whole bunch of tickets that we work on for a month or two, and then new ones come in to replace them. So if we get low, there could be times where we're not billable.
Yep.
So, I would love to say, I'm down to 10 tickets in my queue, but if I'm there, I'm nervous.
Yeah, we've got to distinguish between work we've started, like there's a concept of work being released to work and what's in that pipeline being worked. So you can keep something in the backlog that's that you can pull from the backlog. I think that's good to line up projects so that you've got that buffer for a month or two or whatever. Because we can't always produce more client work on demand. We need to stack it up a little bit. That's the Phoenix project gets into that. And this is I don't know, have you read it?
I have. Fantastic book.
Because they had too many projects that were started and just sitting there on the books. So they just kind of killed a whole bunch and just focus on a couple. They're like, this is all we got time for. Let's pick these 5 or whatever it was and get them going and done. Reduce the scope.
Right. And that's my personal work ethic, right? If I start something, I want to finish it. Now, realize there has to, there's give and take in that. I have to, make sure the customer responds to questions and what have you. Any shipping delays, which we get a lot of these days. But there are built-in downtime in any project as you're communicating back and forth, waiting for objects, whatever. So I may have multiple things open at one time. In progress, I usually, like you say, I only usually have 1 or 2. And then, since we're using ConnectWise, everything has a status. We just, put that status as, waiting for contact, waiting for others, something like that.
And that's at the ticket level or the project level?
Typically at the ticket level. Because the project is just a series of tickets. So if you've gone in order like you're supposed to, like it's laid out, then when you see, you've hit a ticket that's on hold, that typically holds up the rest of the project.
Yeah.
So it's not a very advanced Gantt chart, but it works.
Yeah. So how much project work do you guys like to keep on the backlog so that if you're done what you're doing, that you're not running dry?
You know, the project and the service tickets kind of run together. It depends on, you know, when they come in, right? So new customers, lots of project tickets to get them up and going. And then a project ticket is usually something that's in our company, anything over 8 hours. That becomes a project, multiple tickets. We could farm it out to different entities, you know, the engineers, the network group, you know, what have you, to accomplish pieces and parts of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think having a backlog of projects, like we have that in the, especially in our Linux MSP, is we got enough, like we're new clients, they're at least a month out to start that project for them, the onboarding or whatever it is. They're just gonna have to wait. Because we just got that backlog, and we liked it's a good from a sales perspective. It's nice to have that we don't have to make special deals or discounts. Says nope, this is the standard rate, and can't take it or leave it. So it's a good. If we're jumping into it right away, that's not good, and we're needy. But yeah, I think it's from a lean perspective, it's okay to be like that. But once it starts, then you want it to flow through quickly. And again, we also have projects that the client just wants like 20 hours a month to work through their backlog, or like through the roadmap, I should say. So, but reducing the work in progress, I've just seen having an engineer work on like 5 projects or more, like they're all suffering. And it's just, they don't do well, like they're getting burnt out. So if they can focus on 1 or 2 and get them done really well and move on to the next one, like they all get done better and they feel better and the client's happier.
Right. And you've got much more consistency in your product.
Yeah.
Right. I can go through my steps 1, 2, 3, rather than going 1, 2, hold on, I've got to go over here, come back. Now, where was I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Narrowing that in, because I've just seen having, somebody jump between different size projects, different tech stacks like PHP versus Java. That's hard, or networking, advanced networking versus software or LAMP stacks. It's really hard. So we want consistency and flow, and reduce that when you're switching from the different types of between the projects, that it's easy to switch because they're similar. Yeah, so I don't know if that provides clarity there, or if that helps, but or answered your question.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to help Chris with there? To add? Nope. Good. Here we go. All right. Yeah, David, you're up.
Yeah, so David Lawrence with Fill the Gap IT. We're focused more on co-manage these days. We're in the state of Utah. I've been using TopLeft for, I think, since the fall, maybe like November, December of last year. So some wins this year. I mean, just kind of really been working on, well, a lot of what we're talking about, getting our metrics down and kind of getting our backlog down. Also been working on our strategic business review process this week. So that was a nice win. Kind of ran through that process with one of our customers yesterday. Closed a bunch of deals there, so that was great. And just kind of streamlining our tools, just getting things streamlined as best we can is what I've been working on and having some success with. I think one of the challenges I run into still is with both in terms of service desk and projects, keeping up with availability. I mean, we don't have a huge team. There's like, we got like 3 techs, 3 engineers, but still, you know, because we're small, we spread our time between projects and service desks. There's no like one team for either. We do kind of have like myself and then another guy. We're kind of more of the senior engineers. So we tend to do the projects, but I'm trying to push some of that down with documentation and things down to our level 1 technician. And just kind of seeing what everybody's working on and keeping that availability. open. I've tried with Autotask. I've tried using like their calendar, their dispatch calendar from a management perspective. It doesn't always work great because we've got like you can only put service calls on the calendar, but as opposed to like tickets. So I like TopLeft from that perspective because then I can kind of see more. But I still struggle a little bit, I think, with managing availability, making sure everybody, I'm not trying to load them up, but just seeing who has open time and getting things scheduled correctly. So
Okay, who's got maybe somebody question to ask or advice or thoughts to help David?
We use our technicians for projects as well. And typically what I'll do to help manage their workload and the other service coordinators workload and assigning them new stuff is to just block out times in their calendar for those projects. So I'll do like a 4-hour block once a day for a week if they're working on a project or whatever the project takes. But we maintain a different calendar than Autotask. So we maintain just a regular M365 calendar for that stuff.
are you blocking out like a general project time or specifically this is 4 hours for this project?
This is 4 hours for this project. So I'll tell them which project they're working on, definitely.
Okay.
And David and Shane, Matt, by the way, from Jupiter too. We actually kind of work on the same calendar as you just said, Shane, where we'll block off time for a specific project. I'm one of the techs with the team, so my boss will do that for me.
And are you also doing like 4 hours? Like, is that what everybody finds is a good number? Because like too little, and it's like you really can't always accomplish anything, and too much, I think you're kind of getting pulled away anyway, with emergencies. So just 4 hours or maybe around that, is that what seems to be a good happy medium?
For us, yeah, it depends on the project for sure. But like you said, getting pulled away is the worst when you're working on something. So the rest of the team kind of has to be on board. Hey, this person has this time blocked off. Everyone else needs to be available.
Okay.
Yeah, and same for us. 4 hours seems to work well. It gives, there's no way we can block off a full day of a technician around here just because there's going to be those questions and interruptions. So if we at least give them half a day to work the regular tickets and do all their other duties, then that seems to be a good time frame.
And you find that, ideally it'd be like, here's your tasks, here's your projects, just get them done, right? But are we finding, and I'm just kind of looking for some validation for myself, I guess, are we finding that it's actually that having that blocked out time and maybe even coming from above, like maybe in Matt, in your case, helps kind of broadcast to others that like, this is the time to get that done? Is that sort of what we're finding is why that works, that approach? Is that it has to be like, it's almost like a broadcast to like let everybody know that this is the time to do it, because there's so many things pulling you away. You can't just, I guess what I'm finding, and so I'm just kind of looking for confirmation, is that you can't really just say, find the time, because they don't, but understandably, because there's other things pulling at them. So yeah.
Gotta make the time, right? Like,
Make the time,
right.
right?
It's
Yeah.
not, is it important or is it not important? If it's important, then block up the time and tell the team, like, I need help. Like, I'm focused on this, so get my back, or don't ping me. Can it wait? Or
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking is, for the making of the time, are we finding that the making of the time has to come from above? Because is there some other way that technicians could somehow make their own time? Like, I guess we're setting priorities for our engineers, and so that's kind of part of it. But yeah.
I'll say no. We will also block off our own calendars if there's a project. Hey, I need this time to work on it. Rest of the team, sorry. I know customer focus on the tickets coming in, but I really need to get this project done. So it doesn't have to come from above.
I'd say our case is the opposite. It
Really?
does. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that most of our techs gravitate toward the customer facing quick tickets. And so the involvement in some of the projects is they'll put it to the side. So if we set that time aside, not just for the technician so that he knows he's got that time, but for everyone else, like you said, it's a big announcement that, hey, don't bother Bob during these 4 hours because he's working on something else that we deemed a priority.
About like due dates and things on tasks. Is that, again, we're smaller, so I'm just curious what larger folks find. Is that something that engineers pay attention to and then could kind of, well, this is coming up, this is due, I need to spend some, block off some time for this? Or is that really the project manager looking at that and saying, you need, it was just kind of, I guess, a similar question to what I asked, but I'm just saying with due dates in there, does that help facilitate kind of folks scheduling their own time, or is it really just kind of more of a metric for PMs?
I can't speak on bigger company. We're quite small as well at Jupiter. So the due date kind of didn't matter to us much in Autotask. Since we've been using TopLeft, though, we have focused more on that due date.
Yeah, so is your whole team using TopLeft, then everybody keeps an eye
Yep.
on that?
Yep.
Okay.
It's helped us tremendously with our amount of tickets sitting and waiting compared to when we were in Autotask, where it just gets lost in that list. It's very easy to lose text. It's not as easy to lose a big card on a board.
Yeah, I mean, I do, like, I have these metrics behind me, right? And I do like those, and a dashboard is helpful. But I personally still like looking at cards. They speak to me more. But I do struggle a little bit with getting our engineers to use TopLeft. I mean, one of them does, but I'm like, just look at it more. So I think they gravitate to the boards still, but then things kind of don't really move forward. So yeah, I think it's just kind of a.
What we find is, are any of you doing like a daily huddle with your whole team?
I wish it was daily. We do a couple times a week. That's what we're shooting for so far.
And how long do those take? Like,
sometimes they're quick, sometimes they're longer. Most of the time, I mean, I guess the last few huddles we've done have been more project oriented, so less ticket because we had some big projects that we were working on.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something I struggle with too, is just, I guess, structuring the huddle correctly, or maybe doing it more, maybe daily.
We made a change in our Windows MSP team that just like with who was running the huddle. So basically I got my integrator, we used the Traction EOS system, and he got in there and restructured the team. And actually one of the first things he did was we've been doing huddles for years, like 8 years, 10 years, but restructure it and just looking at the Kanban properly. And now stuff is flowing much better because work was stacking up and not really moving forward. So just asking the right questions in the huddle and having people go around and own that. So that's always something worth revisiting. I think it's at least daily. And if somebody's having a problem with neglected work or not following it, you might have to go one-on-one like 3 times a day. So we had one guy, he's really good, really friendly with clients, starts all these new tickets, answers the calls. He's like a magnet with tickets, but then they're sitting on him. He's the bottleneck. It's like the Brent guy in the project. Actually, his name is actually Brent too. That's the funny thing. And so we had the service coordinator and the service manager sit down with him like at least twice a day, look at his tickets, figure out what has to be done next, and then offload it to somebody else. But not leaving them on their own for multiple days. That's been key. And just it's their work. They're looking at the TopLeft together, not at ConnectWise.
Yeah, I know that's probably somewhere where we're failing can improve. Is looking. Yeah, I mean, looking at the same metric sources together is probably an area we can improve on. So like looking at TopLeft together. Yeah, I think that would be good. Right.
Hey, Wim, can I make a comment on that?
Go for it, yeah.
It's Mike Beecher. I'm with Skateboard Solutions in Buffalo, New York. We were talking about accountability and meetings. So we do we went remote during the pandemic. We've not gone back to our offices. So we're essentially a remote company now. We do an 8:30 a.m. Microsoft Teams meeting every morning. Everybody's on it. Everybody's required to be on it. It's a 5 to 10 minute check-in. What happened overnight? What's going on for the day? Who's scheduled out? Any problems that need to be addressed? And then we go about the day. We're on chat. We're on video through Teams. And then at 4:45, we do an end of day meeting. Same thing. Check out anything going on, what happened, what needs to be addressed, what's going on into the overnight. And then we're a traction EOS company as well, Wim. And we have a number of level 10 meetings that we do throughout the week. But the big one for the technical support group is we do an operations meeting every Tuesday morning at 9:30. We've got a traction tools agenda that we follow rigidly. We've got a scorecard in there, and some of the things that we track on the scorecard as it relates to the operations and support team is we look at any tickets that are older than 7 days. We want to know what's the statuses of those tickets and what's going on with them. We look at prior week. Every engineer is accountable to book 100% of their time. They have to book the time. 75% of it needs to be billable, but 100% of it needs to be booked. So even if they have, they book a lunch, they book research time, whatever. And that has seemed to keep everybody pretty accountable. We had an engineer who kind of refused to follow those guidelines, and he was about a week away from being fired before he decided that he was going to move. So he did us a favor, and since that time we hit 100% booked utilization and 75% actual utilization pretty consistently every week, and we just hold them accountable to that scorecard.
You're tracking the book time, so they have to plan their week or their time in advance and saying this is how I plan to use it, and then you hold them accountable to it. Did I understand that right?
No, not really, because they can't really plan. I mean, so the way that there's four support engineers. There's 2 guys in the level 1 desk, and then there's a network admin / level 2 guy, and then there's a project / level 2 guy. Those 2 guys can schedule things out. The support guys, the level 1 guys, they really can't, because they're just dealing, with tickets that flow in during the day. So they just know that, they've got to book, they've got to record every hour of their day. That's that 100% time booked that we want them to have. And then, during the course of a week, we want them to be at 75% billable. So they're not really planning that far out, but they have to.
I got it. We expect 100% to be logged by 9 o'clock the next morning. We actually just put that into the because we have a bonus plan, and I put criteria for performance. So that was to be determined. But for May 1st, we're like, to get that part of the profit share bonus, you need to have entered your time on time. Yeah, all of your time on time. Yeah.
And then I guess while I'm talking, my question is, so we've had TopLeft. I shouldn't say I've had it, because I kind of did it, this little bit of a lab project to see what it was all about. I've had it for close to a year. I use it personally internally with some of my level 10 meetings. I haven't ported it over to the support desk. We will, but I am curious to know the guys that are using it and feel like they're being successful with it. Does your support team work 100% in TopLeft and not inside of either ConnectWise or Autotask in the boards? How does that work? Or are they switching back and forth? I may be super interested to know that. And other than that, I'm here to kind of learn, because we're getting ready to optimize. We've been trying to optimize everything in the company for the past year, because we would like to do an acquisition next year. So whoever's using it, if they consider it a successful implementation, do your guys live in it?
So I'd consider it, when we implemented TopLeft, to be very successful. I will say there are cases where a tech does not fully live in it. We do still do some work in Autotask.
I guess to unpack
Matt,
that.
if you do a board review, are you reviewing the board in TopLeft?
In TopLeft, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So Yeah, I guess, yeah, Michael, I guess what we do see a lot is people, they'll work the order from top left, but they'll just click the card and bring it up in ConnectWise and then enter their time in the notes there. But they're making their decision on what to be working on from top left.
That makes sense.
So yeah, we do have the features for like putting in notes, seeing the notes, time entry, timers, and we've added that because we want to encourage people working from it and not getting lost. Because the temptation is you click the card, go to ConnectWise, is now you're working out of there. Now you're back to your list.
Yeah, and then
you just
stay there. Yeah.
So that's why we've been adding more functionality in the product, that we're basically becoming a PSA on top of Autotask and ConnectWise. But there's a couple, I think the usability isn't quite there. So that's why we've got the UI UX initiative this summer to unify the interfaces. So it's a really good ticket experience that's fast, easy, mobile friendly, all those things to keep them in there. And then the other thing I think we really need to do is have a full timesheet interface. So I talked to my techs, like I met some of them for coffee on Friday. Actually, those are people who hired like a year ago remote. I never met them. So go out and drive to the big city and get a coffee, and I just ask them how they're using it. And they're like, it's easier to enter time from the ConnectWise timesheet than finding the ticket. So I'm like, yeah, we need to get that in there. There's less reasons for them to bounce out of it. Yeah. But
Makes sense.
yeah. Yeah. Anybody else got feedback on how what they're doing in top left versus PSA? Catherine? Chris? Or Matt?
Well, I was going to say, Wim, I'm happy you kind of brought up that UI UX, development for this summer, because there are a couple things that we find, like you said, are easier to do in Autotask, or maybe the functionality just isn't there in top left. We look forward to seeing that, like you said, note entry and things like that.
Yeah. I can just quick share that while we're talking about it, but because some people just haven't really looked at that. You can edit the ticket out of here. So all the fields are there. The agreement is there. The owner, all the fields are there that you would need to change. You can change the tasks. This one doesn't have any. And some of the terminology is different between Autotask and ConnectWise, but it's there. Manage your resources. Again, these are all different little options. The idea is to unify it, so you're not having to click into, 8 different things here. But the enter time and note, it is there. That's everything that you can do in ConnectWise and Autotask. Just once you save it, it takes you back here. So if you want to go see what you did, you got to go to show notes. And right now we can't edit it, but it is there.
Hey, Wim, since you brought up the time entry, one thing I asked the team kind of beforehand, hey, is there something you want me to bring up? And we noticed a weird issue where the end time will shoot to 7 p.m. for some reason. Have you been seeing that with, I see you're on ConnectWise there, we're on Autotask. Is that something with top left, or is that something with Autotask?
7 o'clock seems like a weird random
It's
time.
like very specific. Yeah.
You'd have to open a ticket on that one with the guys.
Okay.
Yeah, no idea on that one. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I don't know why time zones. That's a weird.
It's very random. It's not even like we can't even reproduce it when we try.
Yeah. Okay. It's not all the time. Yeah. Well, there's some logs they can get, but if you got a ticket number, they can look at it or just get on a screen share and work it out. But
Awesome. I'll log that next time it happens.
yeah. Okay. We lost David. It's great to have him. It's great to have Michael, but he's gone. All right. Catherine, did you have anything to share or ask, or you just want to come on and say hello? Or is your audio broken? I think you had no audio last month. Yeah. Well, I guess Shane or Chris, is there any boards you wanted to share with the others here or show me? I'd love to see how you guys are using it or what you're looking at every day.
Oh, we're just now implementing, so I got not much to show you right now.
Okay. Have you gotten into the office hours with Matt?
We did, I have not, but we did do the onboarding.
Oh yeah, the
So that-
concierge call.
Yeah,
Nice.
we did. That was real helpful in getting at least the project board set up real quick. And
And then the completed ticket challenge is about you getting those ticket counts down and the neglected work kind of purged out and moving forward, those sorts of things. Yeah. So it's that. Okay. Yeah, Matt, any questions we can help with or anything else to share?
No questions at this time. Keep up the good work. I've loved using TopLeft since we implemented it. So
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah. All right, and just feedback on the call today. Is the format good, or is my talking too much up front, that sort of thing? Anything I could do better or streamline?
I think the format's good. This is the first one I've attended. I think Walt did last month with you.
Yeah. Yeah, your team has been really good about engaging with us, always responsive and getting back to emails and showing up to things. So that's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also have a planning a online conference or summit in the summer as well. So that will be announced pretty soon. With paid speakers and great content and such. But
Awesome. Looking
not
forward to it.
official and not official yet. We're just
Yeah. No, we're holding you to it.
because July is the date right now, but we gotta lock things in and the agenda and such. Okay. Nobody's anything else, then yeah, I guess any actions. Yeah. So what you're gonna do out of this, Shane? Any actions you're gonna take?
I want to finish up the projects board. And I am, we're starting to get into the tech boards as well. But we're also filling in a lot of the workflow holes that we found in statuses. So we've got some tickets that have lingered out there for too long. And so I've just created a big chart of those. And so next time I'll have all that sorted out.
Yeah. Yeah, they can take a bit of work to clean up a PSA, but
Can.
yeah. But don't let it hold them back from you if you got to rebuild a PSA just to start on top of that. It is to visualize what's going on, even if it's not perfect.
There you go.
Right. That's the number one rule of Kanban is actually not change a single process. Just visualize it as chaotic as it might be, because that will direct what you need to do.
Yeah, so far it's directed by eyeballs in different directions. So you get it all up there and start looking at it, it's like, wow, it's a little bit messy, but we'll get there.
Yep. Good, thanks. Okay, Chris, what you're gonna do for what are your action items from this?
I got a couple of good ideas I'm going to implement from this. So I really appreciate the time. Thanks, guys.
Good, awesome. All right, and Matt, anything you're gonna do or commit to doing, or any feedback or words of wisdom for us?
I have to pay attention to that time and actually log the ticket number so we can get some resolution on that.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah. We don't realize until we're looking at something in TopLeft. I'm like, how did I work on that for 5 hours? And yeah, it's because it shot it up to 7 p.m. for no reason.
Oh, if you don't catch it, it's like doing the wrong AM or PM.
Yeah. I don't know if it's something related to that. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll let you guys know when I see another one.
Yeah, Shannon and Cameron are really responsive on those things. If you get a ticket in or get on a chat with them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good. Well, then I will leave it at that, and then hopefully see some of you next month. So thanks for being here.
Mhm.
Thanks for your support.
Have a good evening, everyone.
See you around. Yep. See y'all. Bye now.